Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to MovieFile's 100 Movies in 100 Days. Today is day 8, where we'll be reviewing the movie Trainspotting. Now this movie was recommended to me by a member of my Facebook group and also a friend of mine, Matthew Hodge. Now this film has a special place in my heart due to the fact that it's a Danny Boyle movie, and if you've seen his body of work, he's done some of my favourite films. From 28 Days Later to the sequel 28 Weeks Later, which he produced, Shallow Grave, and Slumdog Millionaire. And no, it's not because of the fact that I look Asian. Now this episode did have a slight delay because You
fucked up! Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up! You have fucked up now! Now you fucked up! 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 Now you have fucked up!
Yes, I fucked up. I was trying to get sort of a green screen thing going on with the show and change the backgrounds and hopefully change the format. It kind of went awry. And because that happened, I've decided to go back to the previous format and just give you the reviews and the story, etc, etc. Now if you do have any suggestions on how to tweak the show, just leave a comment at the bottom and just basically let me know exactly what you think. Because without you people, there's no point doing this, is there? I've got a little special treat as well. As you guys know, I'm doing a Bill Murray fortnight, which was supposed to be a Bill Murray week, but you guys decided to change my mind because we had a slew of recommendations of movies that we couldn't just fit this thing into like a single week. It had to be a 14-day thing. And as part of that week, I'm going to be playing this game. Yes, that's right, Ghostbusters. Now this game is actually the unofficial Ghostbusters 3, which as you guys know, there's only been 2 movies in regards to the series, and the third is pretty much in limbo due to the fact that Bill Murray doesn't want to commit to it, and also due to the fact that, you know, the window of opportunity that they had to produce this film is kind of run its course. So enough about that, and let's get on to the review. Now the film has been a vehicle for both Danny Boyle and Ewan McGregor, but a couple of actors who've made their way to the big screen have actually starred in this movie. Now those names include Jonny Lee Miller from Elementary. He has an amazing Sherlock Holmes. You guys got to see that. And also Eli Stone. I don't understand why they cancelled that series. That was actually a pretty good series, and I felt that, you know, they could have done a lot more with it. And also Robert Carlyle, as you guys probably know him for Stargate Universe, others from the movie 28 Weeks Later, and a load of other films that he's been in, including The Full Monty, and also for you Bond fans, The World Is Not Enough. Let's go to the story now, as I've been sitting here babbling on for at least, well, the last 5 minutes. So Mark Renton, who's Ewan McGregor's character, and his friend Spud are running down Princess Street, and they're pursued by a security guard. Now Renton has a circle of friends. They introduce him to a con artist named Sick Boy, who's basically played by Miller. Sick Boy, Spud and Renton, they're all basically heroin addicts. They're guys that are addicted to... After awakening from a heroin-induced state, Renton decides that enough is enough, it's time for him to quit heroin. Realising that he's going to just do it after one huge last high, he decides to buy opium suppositories from a guy called Mikey Forrest. After a violent hit and a very graphic scene which includes him having a violent spell of diarrhea, he locks himself in a cheap hotel room to induce himself into withdrawal. He later goes with his friends to a club and later finds out that his sex drive's returned, so we get to see loads of sex scenes for a bit. In the morning he awakens and realises that he's, well, bedded a 15-year-old schoolgirl and that her flatmates are actually her parents. Yes, most guys tend to do that. Well, if you've seen 16 and Pregnant, of course you know that most guys tend to do that this day and age. Just don't want to take care of the baby after it's born. Renton tries to get the incident out and just forget about it, but he gets blackmailed into going into a relationship with Diane, which is the name of the 15-year-old girl that he slept with, so yay, I think. Sick Boy, Spud and Renton all decide to use heroin again because, you know, life is kind of worthless at the moment anyway. And Tommy joins him because his life gets turned into a mess by Renton, which causes his girlfriend to dump him, which is what usually happens with people who are messed up. When you have a circle of friends like that, you get messed up too. So you don't really want to get into that situation, do you? No?
Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up! You have fucked up now! Now you fucked up! 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 Now you have fucked up!
But they all get high, and then it all gets interrupted when their friend Alison realises that her infant daughter has died. This is a shocking scene. If you watch it and you see that this child's not moving, it's, my God, it's extremely scary and hits you right in the heart. Man, you've got to be emotionless not to feel something for this. Everyone's just totally, horrified and in dismay about this, including Sick Boy, who is the child's father. He doesn't actually state that he is, but it's implied that he's the kid's dad. Renton and Spud are later caught stealing from a bookshop and then arrested by security guards, which I don't think security guards could do that, but I think they're probably detained and then arrested. You know how the process works. Spud goes to prison, but Renton, because he had like previous crimes on his list, but Renton manages to, plead that he'll go to a program, a rehabilitation program, and they will basically, that will just give him a slap on the wrist and he'll be able to get out scot-free. And he's been, part of the program is he gets given methadone, so you get swapped one drug for another basically. And he's been given a full load of support from his family. Despite this, he's bored and he escapes to go to Swanee's flat and get himself high again. He then overdoses and is just basically left nearly lifeless on the floor. His parents then decide enough is enough, we're going to lock him in an old bedroom and just not have him come out. Now this is the shocking scene because he starts to hallucinate as he withdraws. So he sees the little infant that died as she crawls around the room like she's some kind of freaking Satan maybe, and has her head sort of spinning backwards. It's terrifying, but it also shows that he comes to terms with his guilt, the guilt that he had of using and causing that child's death. The scene also has an interlaced little scene on the television where you have Del Winton, if you guys probably know him, he's a big thing over here, or he was, when he did Supermarket Sweep. But he's asking Renton's parents loads of little questions about him, and it's part of the whole hallucination thing and withdrawal, getting this thing out of his system. After he's cleaned up, his parents says, look, you need to get tested and find out if you've got anything, because you've been sharing needles for years with other people. And gets himself tested, and turns out it's negative. Now he's clean, he's basically trying to get his life back together. He's kind of bored at the moment, trying to figure out what he's going to do next. So he then decides to go and visit Tommy, who's now a full-on heroin addict and has HIV. He enjoys his new life and the sobriety that comes with it, but as you know with these types of movies, it doesn't last long because his old life comes rushing back to basically, get to it. As he's enjoying this new life anyway, he saves up money, and while he's talking to Diane still, basically keeping that connection there between the two of them, because he's basically been blackmailed that if he doesn't, he's gonna get shot to the police, and you don't want to get done for paedophilia. Begbie commits an armed robbery and decides to go to Renton's flat looking for a place to stay and hide out while the police are looking for him, as you do, because you're a fucking criminal nutcase. Sick Boy, who's now a pimp and drug pusher, decides to show up at his flat as well. They then learn about Tommy's death, who dies of toxoplasmosis. I'm not going to tell you what that is, you can actually look it up, because seriously. They travel back to Edinburgh for his funeral. Sick Boy then suggests to them that there's an idea about basically having the one big score where he decides to buy a bucket load of heroin for $4,000. But they need Renton to put up half the $4,000 in order for them to make the transaction, because they don't have the full money. Renton then decides to shoot up and test how how the heroin is and if it's pure or not. And then they send it to a drug dealer for $16,000. Now here's the fun part. Everyone thinks that Renton has relapsed and that he's basically gonna start using again. But instead he makes a positive choice and decides to steal the money and get away from his friends. Renton also leaves Spud $2,000 for him because he tells him about the plan that he's going to take the money and basically just find a new life, and he does so. He swears to lead a normal and traditional life and leave his past behind him, as the others just cause a ruck and end up getting themselves arrested anyway. And that's pretty much it from the story. So the film itself is one of those movies where it deals with a very difficult subject. Firstly, the subject of drug use. It shows a rather negative side of hardcore drug use. This is stuff like that, like crack, like heroin. Mostly drugs that are just going to destroy your life, and they're usually sort of the Class A stuff. But it also reflects on the fact that, you have a bad support system. And that's what Renton did. His parents were the only people that were looking after him and were trying to get him to make a positive in his life. Where you had his friends, his so-called friends, who were using, and even got to the point where they caused the death of their child because it was in an environment that, one, is not fit for a baby, and two, the child was probably malnourished as well because the parents weren't feeding her. And these are very difficult subjects, and with every person in this movie, they played their part extremely well. I love McGregor's role as Renton. There were you can see the mood changes, you can see the mood swings, you can see the way that his character emotes all these negatives and positive emotions. You can see the highs and lows. You get to experience those with him, and with this movie you knew that he was going to be someone special because of the fact that he took the role and he didn't just run with it, he destroyed himself over it. He was thin, he was disgusting, he looked like he'd been using the majority of his life. And for an actor to get himself into that sort of state, in that sort of condition, you know there's good direction. Especially with someone like Danny Boyle on the helm of this movie. He manages to take the subject matter and push it to the extremes. And everybody played their part really well. You can see how his support system was destroyed. Miller's sick boy character, you can tell how he digresses, especially from the death of his daughter, and how he turns into this pimp-like, rather aggressive and rather lowbrow character. You can even look at Kevin McKidd's Tommy Mackenzie. The guy, you know, was one of the group that would never actually try drugs, but once his life went down the toilet, he decided there was no other option. This movie also highlights escapism, how people tend not to deal with the real world and can't focus on their own lives. And it's something that a lot of us do if we play games or if we watch movies. Hell, I'm here on YouTube using this as a piece of escapism because of the fact that, you know, I don't want to deal with anything else that I've got going on. Well, that's kind of not true, but you know what I'm talking about. Escapism is rampant in society at the moment because people tend to just forget about the outside world and just want to deal with their four walls. And this movie highlights it to a T. Now let's get to the score. As you know, I rate every movie from a 1 to 5. 1 being that the movie is a pile of shit and I never want to see it again, and a 5 being that it's the best thing that I've ever seen. It's beautifully written, adapted from the novel itself, beautifully directed, and extremely horrific. It highlights its subject matter and puts its points across without any punches. And with beautiful acting and a great structure of supporting cast, there's no wonder why people put this on their top 10 lists. So that's it from me, guys, and make sure that you tune in for episode 9, where I will be reviewing the movie Animal House.